So, Sunil, let's get right into it. The whole idea of a secret ET social contract, the US government making a deal with extraterrestrials, where does this even come from? Why does it have such staying power?
It's a fascinating question. The roots are tangled up in the aftermath of the Roswell incident in 1947. The government's initial explanation, a weather balloon, didn't sit well with the public, especially after they admitted to a cover-up, which was actually about Project Mogul, a classified balloon project. That vacuum of trust set the stage for wild speculation. By the late 1970s and 80s, you had figures like William Elmore pushing the idea of Majestic 12, a supposed secret committee managing alien contact and technology.
And those MJ-12 documents, right? They're the backbone of this whole theory, but most credible researchers have dismissed them as forgeries. Still, the narrative stuck. Why do you think that is?
The idea is sticky because it's so dramatic. Imagine a group of top scientists, military brass, and intelligence officials all sworn to secrecy, managing alien tech and bodies. Even though the documents are highly questionable, the story just keeps evolving. It's like a modern myth, and it's fueled by a mix of genuine secrecy, witness testimony, and a public desperate for answers about UFOs.
Vikash, I know you've been itching to talk about the so-called Grida Treaty or Taurus Agreement. What are the supposed terms of this alleged deal?
The story goes like this. The US gets advanced technology. Think anti-gravity propulsion, new energy sources, exotic materials. In return, the government keeps the alien presence secret and allows the ETs to set up underground bases like Area 51 or the infamous Dulce base in New Mexico. And here's the kicker. The government supposedly allows a limited number of US citizens to be abducted for medical and scientific study as long as they are returned unharmed and with no memory of the event.
That's the part that really gets under people's skin. The idea that the government would trade citizens' safety for tech. It's a perfect explanation for every abduction story since the 1960s. But Sunil, from a political science perspective, what does this narrative really say about us?
It's a mirror for our deepest anxieties about power. The theory assumes a government so cynical and unaccountable that it would sacrifice its own people for a military edge. It's a story born out of distrust, post-Watergate, post-Vietnam, when faith in institutions was at a low. The aliens are almost beside the point. They're a stand-in for a shadowy, untouchable power structure.
And yet, if you take the story at face value, the implications are massive. Imagine if tomorrow, undeniable proof came out. Blueprints, alien artifacts, credible testimony. What happens to the US social contract?
The fallout would be seismic. The entire legitimacy of the government rests on the social contract. The idea that leaders protect citizens' rights and security in exchange for their consent. If it came out that the government knowingly allowed abductions in exchange for technology, that contract would be shattered. You'd see immediate calls for resignations, arrests, maybe even the collapse of the intelligence community. Every law and treaty passed under that shadow would be questioned. And the psychological shock, realizing a non-human force has operated here with government approval, could destabilize society itself.
It's almost too big to process. And maybe that's why, even without hard evidence, the story persists.
The logic is, if the truth would be catastrophic, then the secret must be real. But that's not how evidence works.
Exactly. The absence of proof isn't proof of absence, but it's not proof of presence either. The theory is compelling because it explains so much in one stroke. UFO sightings, abductions, government secrecy, but it also demands a level of secrecy and coordination that's almost impossible to sustain over decades across thousands of people and multiple administrations. And yet, the myth endures. It's a way for people to make sense of the unknown, to project their fears about power and betrayal onto something cosmic. It's not really about aliens. It's about us.
That's the heart of it. The ET social contract is a modern allegory, a story we tell ourselves about trust, power, and the limits of government accountability. It's a psychological safety valve for a society that feels powerless in the face of secrecy.
So, if you're listening and wondering if there's a secret alien deal out there, maybe the real question is, what does it say about our relationship with authority that we find this story so believable?
And what would it take for us to rebuild trust? If the truth, whatever it is, finally came out, that's the real mystery.
Sunil, thanks for breaking down the frameworks and the facts. And to everyone listening, keep questioning, keep thinking, and remember, sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones we tell about ourselves.
If you liked it, check the description to watch the full episode. You're missing out on a lot. Don't forget to share with your friends, family, and relatives. See you in the next video.